Nico Iamaleava has set the college football world on fire yet again. And it feels like, whoa, that was a drop you just played.
Yeah.
It feels like we finally have an answer, and that is that Nico is transferring to UCLA. Colin Cowherd first had the story. I personally think this was one of the only two places he could go. And as soon as North Carolina had a better option, he was out at North Carolina. And you remember on Monday when we talked about this, we had told you my opinion was North Carolina or UCLA. He was never going to USC. Was not going to be an option.
Right.
So are you surprised by this? Certainly not. He's a Long Beach kid. It's why USC and UCLA were two of the biggest options right out of the gate. But my question is, okay, now we know he's going to UCLA, allegedly. How much are you paying him? Do you believe he's getting $4 million?
I don't. No. Why would you pay him $4? You have all the leverage if you're the school, right? I mean, where else is he going to go? Like, why would you pay him that level of money? And by the way, I mean, I don't think that UCLA is in the business of paying guys that much. Like I understand that every school's got an NIL budget on some level.
Right.
But, UCLA isn't exactly some juggernaut on the football field. Like, they're solid, but they're not like, Ohio State level football program where they're trying to win national championships constantly. So, like, I would be shocked if they paid him that much.
I can't see paying him more than $2 million. I would pay him what he was making at Tennessee. I would offer him less. But you can't tell me after the jackassery from his father yesterday, where he's saying that y'all in the media need to understand this is a business first. Okay. But Tulane and a lot of other schools, yes, Nico has offers over $4 million. Does this mean he got $4 million? Is that what we're to believe? I don't believe that. You can't tell me you're paying Iamaleava more than you're paying your head coach.
Right.
That doesn't seem right.
Well, and I think that, what's going to be really interesting here is the spin cycle. So, like, let's say they pay him $1 million, $1.5 million, let's say. What's the spin cycle going to be when he inevitably gets asked about this? Because at some point, dude's getting asked about this, right? At some point, Nico's going to have to do media, and he's going to get asked about this without a doubt. And so what I'm curious about, and I think this is where we'll start to get some real good insight into the relationship between Nico and his dad and how all this went down. When the reporter asked him, like, hey, why did you force your way out of Tennessee, allegedly? Or, hey, like, why was $4 million the number that you just had to have? Why didn't you, like, he's going to get asked those harder questions.
Oh, there's no question.
And I think that, he better be media trained, number one, right? You better be prepared. But then number two, how do you, if you're Nico, protect your dad from taking all the heat on one hand, but then on the other hand, represent yourself well? Because, if you have to answer questions about, like, hey, well, who was really the decision maker here? Who was really handling this process? Like, was it you, Nico, or was it your dad? Or, like, was it this coach who's like your agent? Like, who was really pulling the strings here? And then Nico's going to have a canned answer to that, I would assume. I highly doubt. I would be shocked if you just put him up there not prepared to answer questions. Like, that would be crazy. So that's why I say, like, once he starts having to answer questions about this, and once we get a media day with him, let's say, that's going to be really telling. And I think, if it does, because Cowherd, like you said, is reporting that he's going to UCLA. So once that's publicly announced and everything's done with that, I'm just curious how this is going to be handled, because I think that's going to give us a lot of answers into what went down here, because this is very much unprecedented. We've never really seen anything like this before.
We've never seen this much hubbub.
Yeah.
If he gets $4 million, you understand that Iamaleava is making more than Deshaun Foster, the head coach at UCLA. That's the level of ridiculousness we're at here. We're a kid who absolutely, and I want a kid whose daddy ball blew up Tennessee football.
Right.
And then K-State by extension got blown up. And now UCLA is going to pay the blower. That probably came out wrong. Maybe I should see what I had meant to say. And then the kid's going to get rewarded with a $4 million deal that's more than the football coach at UCLA is making. Come on now. I don't know that I believe that.
I just don't buy it.
You look at, On3 tweeting today that UCLA is holding strong on its offer, which is significantly less than $4 million. You're out of your mind. If you pay this kid, I would have offered him $1.5 million. Because who else is going to meet that number and pay him more?
Well, and that's my point. You have the leverage. Why would you pay him more? Why would you, say here's 2.5, here's 3? Why would you do that? I mean, I understand that this kid can play, but this kid wasn't even close to the best quarterback in his own conference. Let's make sure we keep expectations proper here. I mean, this kid is now joining the Big Ten, allegedly, and is going to be playing, some pretty solid big-time quarterback factory schools. You're not playing small-ass school anymore at all, ever. So, I don't know.
Is UCLA a good landing spot?
I don't think it is. You went from the SEC in Tennessee in the college football playoff to a team that's not going to sniff the college football playoff. How's that a good landing spot for you, dude? How is it a good landing spot when you're going to make less?
He's home.
Yeah, he's home. Okay, well, does home lead to the NFL draft? Does home lead to you playing in more college football playoff games? Does home lead to you becoming the absolute best quarterback you can possibly be? Or does home lead to your dad getting paid and you, with all due respect, not being willing to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not doing that? Because we've seen this in sports history before, right? This is hardly be the first time we've seen a dad, try to, take over his son's situation.
It's called daddy ball, please.
Yeah, we've seen daddy ball a million times. So all I'm saying is I want to know who made the final decision to leave Tennessee. Who said, yep, we're going to not show up to practice and we're going to not communicate and we're going to make Josh Heupel in his media availability say that was when, we were moving on. Who thought that was a good idea? Because I don't think anybody in the public thought it was a good idea. And I certainly know for a fact Tennessee didn't want that to be the case. So you essentially removed yourself from an SEC school that's got college football playoff access on a regular basis to go and play at UCLA.
Yeah.
Under the guy who at his first Big Ten media days looked like an absolute idiot.
Lost in a deer in the headlights.
What are we doing?
I feel like we've gone from, hey, these kids have every right to make money to, hey, these kids are going to hold a program hostage. And I think coaches have had enough. I think Dan Lanning, and if you didn't hear the story, allegedly, Nico Iamaleava's dad or representatives allegedly went to Oregon seeking a bigger offer, to which Dan Lanning turned around and called Josh Heupel, the head coach at Tennessee, and all of this started. And it feels like to me, that's what's going to happen now. The coaching fraternity has probably got to come together, and I think you have to be very careful about who you poach players from. And if you're the Big Ten and the SEC, you probably don't want to be poaching from each other. I would think, but who knows?
Well, I think if you're the Big Ten and the SEC, what you don't want to happen is you don't want the Big 12 or the ACC to get access to your guys. I think that the Big Ten and the SEC have this public partnership, if you will, on many fronts. And I think that, players going from the SEC, the Big Ten, or the Big Ten to the SEC, obviously you don't want to be losing all your talent to another conference, but I think if you're those two, you'd rather swap between the two than go to the ACC or the Big 12. So I just think Look, I just think all these situations are case by case. Nico is a kid that I feel like had a really solid freshman year. I feel like not every freshman quarterback goes to the college football playoff and does the things that he did. I don't think that he is the most complete quarterback we've ever seen, obviously, and I think he lacks in a lot of areas. But he's only a freshman. I mean, give the kid 2 more seasons in the SEC, and what does he become? Unfortunately, we'll never know. And that's the problem, is not only are you putting his future in question, now you're limiting where he could go. Because the other part of this conversation that no one's really talking about is what happens when you get unhappy at UCLA, right?
Well,
because now you're not going to the college football playoff. I would be shocked, and I think everyone else would be too. So if you don't go to the college football playoff, if you're not contending to win the Big Ten, which I doubt they will be, are you just simply happy being at UCLA because you get to go to the shoe and you get to play Oregon and you get to play in those bigger venues? Is that you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that you're going to be that much happier, and that's what happens when you make, as Marcus Freeman said, transactional decisions. When you chase the money, the money's all you're going to have. So
yeah,
I don't know what you do at that point.
And then you have Tennessee going to K-State. As we talked about yesterday on the show, you've got freaking Avery Johnson transferring to Tennessee, allegedly. And you got Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley following him on social media. Like, this is what we've turned college football into.
Via social media.
And I hope you're happy about it, because this is what everybody said, the kids should make money. And I don't disagree with that. But there's got to be guardrails put in place.
Yeah, and I just don't understand why it's got to be, so damn complicated, right? Like, it's not hard. Like, when NIL first came out, you guys remember the phase we were in where it was like, well, a kid's got to be able to make $5 on a t-shirt. Right. And then that rapidly turned into private jet deals and $1 million deals,
pickup truck deals, energy bar deals.
Right. Like, it rapidly turned into this big snowball, problem. And now we're in a place where we, as people who cover the game, and you guys as fans watching the game, have to decide if we're supposed to feel sorry for Nico, if we're supposed to resent Nico, if we're supposed to be pissed at Tennessee, if we're supposed to just hate college football in general. And what I'm telling you is, I'm inclined to not feel sorry for Nico, because I feel like ultimately, if you're good enough to play football at that level, you've been in big situations and you've had opportunities to grow as a leader. You're playing a leadership role on a football team. Like, at some point, you'd have to step in if you didn't want to leave. So I'm kind of inclined to think that we shouldn't feel bad for him and that he was down with this. But if he wasn't down with this and he got forced into this, there's going to have to be some major reform on the whole process, because you can't have daddy ball, ruining this kid's career.
I do think it's interesting, by the way, to note, Avery Johnson isn't in the portal. The portal is officially open today. See, he hasn't transferred yet. So is it going to happen? We'll see. But I was refreshing the portal pretty much all day, and his name's not in there. So we'll see what happens. I think this is the ugly side. I think this is the ugly side of college football.
Yeah.
And this Iamaleava situation, I don't know that there's ever been an uglier, more public spat than this. I just don't know. I can't think of one where daddy ball blew up an entire football program, because that's what it feels like this did. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's get your comments in here. Whose side are you on? Who's at fault? The Rona or Nico? I don't have
the coronavirus.
I don't have the Rona. Do you side with Nico? Did he do this? Like, how much fault does Nico Iamaleava get for this? I don't. I put 40% of it on him, because he is a grown ass adult. But his dad, this feels like his dad is the problem.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like to me. So Mike Smith. Lanning calls Heupel to give him a heads up, but did Heupel call Kleiman to give him a heads up? Well,
who knows?
Maybe. Mike also says the Nico Corona portal.
That's right.
Bro, I woke up at 1:15 so I'm taking Dayquil and NyQuil pretty much every 4 hours together, mixed into an antibody cocktail.
That's right. Sorry, I don't have that for you.
Thank you.
That's my bad.
So I have Dayquil and NyQuil during
it's an antibody cocktail.
No, it's not actually. It's a pissing machine.
Yes.
Because, and I don't know if it strips water out of you or what.
Okay, let me, because I'm experiencing this too, so I'm assuming it does. Does Dayquil make you pee more?
Bro, all I'm doing is peeing. And I am drinking more water in the mammoth container. It's not a Yeti. They're not Yetis. They're mammoth. Anyway, you get it. If you know, you know. My point is, it just makes me pee constantly taking Dayquil and NyQuil. It's terrible, in my opinion. Mike Jones, there's no problem. He got the money. So you don't think this is a problem? And you don't think we need to know? Don't we have a right to know how much money he got? And we will, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll come out. Yeah. It'll come out.
But you don't think this is a problem at all? This isn't at all. I think this is a huge problem.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge problem.
I just think I don't think it's a problem that he. So if you just said, "Hey, quarterback from Tennessee is transferring to UCLA," okay, that's not a problem. It's the way the whole thing went down. It's the process by which he's transferring, and the idea that that allegedly the story goes that this all started because his original NIL deal with Tennessee.
Neek.
Yeah, because Neek was upset that he wasn't getting paid more for going to the CFP because the original contract stipulated, hey, this is your number for the season. And it didn't have an additional number for the CFP. And he's like, hey, I'm QB1. I just led this team to the CFP. I want more. And that's where we are. So I just don't understand how there's this, and we've heard coaches talk about this, but this lack of value from the kid on, hey, I'm at a big time program. Like, bro, Rocky Top is iconic, dude. Like, with all due respect to UCLA, Rocky Top is one of the best venues we have in college football. It is like, you couldn't really ask for much better outside of a handful of programs in the SEC. So the fact that you're leaving that situation as QB1, making, On3's valuation was $3 million. Most people think he was making $2 million. That type of money playing college football, you left that because you wanted a little more. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I disagree with that. And I think that that's the wrong decision. And if your dad forced you to do that, that's a huge problem, man. Because ultimately, I understand you got to take care of your family, but I got news for you, bro. Yeah. Like $2 million, $3 million, that's more than enough money to take care of everybody in your family.
I think this is bad for college sports in general. I think it turns a lot of people off, as does trying to say Iamaleava. Brandon Butler, who's been a member of the show for 27 months.
Nice.
I'm actually fighting off a cough. That's why I kept clapping. I think you need to stick to calling the kid Nico. You do better with meteorological.
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
La mama llama. And stuff.
Yeah, wax your bikini line.
Such
I think it's a very difficult name, Brandon. But if I can say Tua Tagovailoa, if I can say other names, I should be able to say Lama Dama Ding Dong.
Yeah.
Which I believe is the proper pronunciation for it. Big Blue Horses. Did the other universities collude? Oh, I think they did. To not pay what he was asking, there wasn't a big rush for the guy. Should there have been?
Not at 4.
I think he's an average-ass quarterback. We've talked about this.
Well, and what was the reporting? I mean, the reporting was that there were a whole handful of schools that were ready to sign the kid, just not at $4 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what everybody was saying was like, hey, if you're willing to take less than 4, then you've got a whole laundry list of schools that would sign you, which again, I agree with. I don't want to pay you 4,
Totally
but I would
agree.
pay you 2.5. And I think 2.5 is pretty reasonable for the level of play that you provided Tennessee in your freshman year. Like, again, you were not some 5,000 yard, 4,000 yard passer, just dominating the competition. Like, you are talented. You clearly need development. And it's clear that if you get that development, you are going to dominate. So, again, from Nico's side, I think this is silly. But from another school's perspective, yeah, there's opportunity there. My only problem with UCLA is UCLA hasn't shown an ability to win in the modern era of college football. Like, you haven't shown me that you can consistently be a top 10 team yet. So you're going there and to your point, hey, it's cool. I'm home. Great. That's great. And it's LA and I can appreciate that. But dude, like, who are we kidding here, man? You're taking a step back.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's a step back. There's no doubt. Tamara Burley. Can't wait to see Nico in shoes again, November 15th, 2025. In the shoe again. November. Do you know how many Ohio State fans I saw on Twitter celebrating this when Cow Turd.
Hey, Cow Turd.
That used to be a drop we played on the show, but we don't play drops.
Hey, Cow Turd.
Thank you. When he announced that today, tomorrow, did you see how many fans on Twitter were like, bring it on? Yes, Nico to the Big Ten. W. Right. You're not the only one. 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central, 3 Mountain, 2 Pacific. Yes, that's exactly.
And whatever time it is in Arizona.
That's right. Exactly right.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
Which is fine. It is what it is. No. Should we read his comments today?
Oh, okay. Give him one.
Players should make more than coaches. Look at any other pro sport.
Cool. Next comment. I'm not doing that with you, dude.
I disagree.
Yeah, you're
yeah. Loner Phone says Wild Wild West has yet to determine rules governing NIL. No, they haven't. And this is the result of that. This is the result of that. Like,
yeah.
The awkward guy, Homie really pulled a Kawhi Leonard without any of the success. Yes, he did. That's it. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Yeah. Old Greg. I do my part by hitting the like button as if it were a joint. Let's pass the button. Let's pass like the button around. Hey man, pass the like button around, please.
Yeah.
Hit the like button. I understand I am terrible at executing the like button hitting script on this show. But yes, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. BYU football says Avery Johnson isn't even in the portal yet. No, he's not. Jaron Eccles. Hey, did you see, Jaron? I don't know if you're a Washington Commanders fan. Did you see what the Washington Commanders announced today? A massive plan for a new stadium on the site of RFK.
Now, I just want to take a moment and ask you this question, because I know we've talked about this a lot. Now, are the Washington Commanders, did they get a free taxpayer handout that covered the entire cost of that renovation?
Well, their owner's a billionaire, so he's going to get $1 billion handouts, isn't he?
Oh, no, that's right. They're paying up to $2.5 billion to build their stadium in partnership with the city.
Yep, indeed. Nix D. Here's the question. Do we feel bad for NFL players that hold out for more money? If not, why should we feel bad about it happening in college?
Okay, this is a fair question.
It is a very fair question.
Fair question. They're professionals.
Yeah.
These guys are not, right? Daddy ball isn't happening at the NFL level, dude. Right? Like, we're not feeling bad for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett might be the best example. Right? I didn't feel bad for Myles Garrett. Because what did he do? He put out a letter saying that he wanted to play competitive football. That he thanked Browns fans and, hey, I need to figure out where I can go and make a difference. And then what did he ultimately do? Oh, that's right. He chased that money. So I don't feel bad for professionals. Those are grown-ass men making their own decisions. And hey, if you're Myles Garrett and you can command, salary like that, great, do your thing. This is a what is he, 19 years old or 20 years old? Like, with all due respect, yes, you're an adult legally, but you don't know what life is yet. With all due respect,
You haven't even lived.
And the fact that your dad, like, I really do and can appreciate the concept of, hey, like, my kid is damn near a professional athlete. He's playing college football in the SEC. He's getting paid millions of dollars. Let's try to maximize that as much as possible.
That up.
Right? Like, how do we get to a place where it's like, let's take it one step further. Let me inject myself into the situation and mess it up for him. And frankly, for everybody else, because let's be real, if your kid was making millions of dollars and you're that involved, that tells me he's your meal ticket, which is fine, generally speaking, but just don't mess it up.
And I hate the people that are ripping Nico for this, because I just think you don't understand. I think I put most of the blame on his father. He's 20 years old. You can't give him a free pass. But the dynamic clearly is his dad is calling the shots.
Yeah.
So you can't argue. UCLA is a massive step back from Tennessee.
Yeah.
There's just no way to argue the opposite.
And I don't even think it makes it better that UCLA's in the Big Ten.
No.
Like, because I've seen people, on X and TikTokers and all that saying, oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's UCLA, but he's in the Big Ten. He's going to be at the shoe. He's going to be here. He's going to be there. That's all fine and dandy, bro. But if you're losing at the shoe by 30, who cares? Because what have you done? You have diluted this kid's career. You have hurt this kid's future. That's why it's such a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And listen, I've seen this 1,000 times. Michael on X says Tennessee was an irrelevant program for 20 years. I agree with that. They were. UCLA is just not very good at all. UCLA is horrendous. And they looked outmatched, overmatched, out coached. They were not talented. And Iamaleava, is dynamic as he's shown he can be, I don't think he's dynamic enough to turn this around on his own. I really don't.
Let me ask you guys this, since we want to talk about teams turning it around. Did Tennessee need a handout from another school? Right? No, they didn't, did they? Is UCLA in that position where they need some help? Yeah, and they're getting that help from USC. And ultimately, the reality is UCLA is not going to spend the bread on the football program that Tennessee is. Whether it's NIL, whether it's facilities, equipment, coaches, like let's not sit here and try to spin this, man. UCLA is a clear step down in program quality. You're going from the SEC to a Pac-12 has-been. That's what you're doing here. And even in the Pac-12, they were never competing to win the conference. They were a team that was gritty and physical, and you could lose to them at their place if you weren't careful, but they were never winning the Pac-12.
UCLA is a basketball school.
Yeah, like, come on, dude.
I mean...
And listen, I liked Dorian Thompson-Robinson at UCLA.
It's DTR, please.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, dude. I liked him. I liked his game. Like, it really enjoyed covering him while he was there. But, like, I just don't know why we have to spin this. Like, it's a step down in money. It's a step down in stature. It's a step down in access to the CFP. Yeah. And don't try to tell me it's not a step down in terms of this kid's percentages to get to the NFL. Like, come on.
UCLA's in a tough spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing in a dilapidated Rose Bowl. There's not a lot of enthusiasm in the fan base for that stadium or that venue. It's special one day a year. You're always second to USC because USC is the king of football in Los Angeles. Like, it's a tough spot to be in. It is. Anyway, the awkward guy. We did have daddy ball with Eli not going to the Chargers and instead going to New York. I mean,
okay, that's fair.
I don't disagree. I mean, it is. Eli did not want to be a Charger. Certainly did not want to be a Charger. And now we get in that with Shedeur, who we're going to talk about in a minute. Are we getting that with Shador? Maybe.
But do you notice how like definitive those situations are? Like everybody was on the same page with what Eli Manning wanted and what his dad wanted. You know, like there were never really
That's
any.
pretty controversial, though.
Like, oh, it was controversial for sure. But my point here is the relationship between the player and his dad in this particular situation with Nico, I think is somewhat unclear. It's clear that his dad is the one driving this thing. What's not clear is where, in my opinion, is where Nico stands with all of it. I am not 100% sure that Nico was just head over heels ready to leave Tennessee and that he just, yeah, bro, I got to have $4 million.
But is he going to say that?
I don't know. But as usual with media, we can read between the lines. Now, we're assuming he'll get asked the right question. We're assuming that people will lean on him with questions a little bit and try to get some truth out of him. But the most important thing to me is not how much money he's making, or if he prioritizes money over winning or anything.
Yeah.
All that matters to me when it comes to college athletes is that they get to do what they want to do. If you want to leave and take a step back to make more money, that's your prerogative, right? If you want to make less money, but you want to win championships, that's your prerogative. But what I don't want is your dad getting involved and forcing you to do something you didn't want to do. And then now we're here and you're losing. Like, that's miserable.
No, Mike Jones. You really think that Iamaleava should get what Beck got? Under what scale is that? I mean, Carson Beck played on national championship caliber teams, and without him, they lost. And I'm not saying that he's a world beater, but that guy is somebody that was part of one of the great dynasties in recent memory at Georgia. And you think he should get the same, Nico Iamaleava should get the same money as Carson Beck? You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You are out of your mind. There's no level or measure that says that. UCLA and Nico are in the same boat. Neither will make $4 million this season. Probably not. Probably not. But, Sergeant Green, I've always looked at UCLA as a basketball school, not a football school.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, it is, I don't know. I feel bad because I think this kid's going to get wrecked. I think the microscope is going to be unbearable. His level of play will have to be almost perfect. Not many people are going to see him because UCLA is not expected to be good. But I hope that this is Nico's doing.
Yeah.
I hope 100 this was his decision.
Because then at least at that point we can disagree with it, but feel okay that he was the one that, signed on the dotted line.
I don't feel like that's what this is. I feel like this is his dad. And I feel like it feels like this is an adult trying to take advantage of the earning power of his kid. That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am completely wrong. Somehow I don't think it is. This is not, and to the earlier point, like comparing this to a holdout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you can compare this to Myles Garrett. Pick whoever you want. This is not Myles Garrett. This is a 20-year-old kid who is not worldly and clearly, in my opinion, does not have Drew Rosenhaus or some other experienced agent advising him. Because nobody advises you to leave Tennessee and be rumored to be going to places like North Carolina, Tulane, and UCLA as a football player. That's not a win for anybody. And I will not believe it until I see it that he got $4 million from UCLA. I know the culture in Los Angeles, having worked there, and I just don't see how that's the case. Look, Mike Jones, you're just completely wrong. You could not be further from the truth. Carson Beck didn't set the market for Iamaleava. Nico's not even in the same hemisphere as Carson Beck. with all due respect. I mean, it's not. It is what it is. It's fine. Hey, Mike Jones, remember to clean Nico's tip off after you're done with it. I mean, that would appear to be where we're at. I mean, in no way did Carson Beck set a market. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. And the damage this kid's dad did with this whole statement to the media about $4 million, nobody's paying him $4 million.
Yeah.
I will again tell you, he's an average-ass quarterback. He's not a top 10 quarterback. I'm not even sure he's top 10 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
He's certainly not top 5. And yes, I would take Carson Beck, who's more experienced. And I don't care where he's playing. It's simply the numbers just don't add up. They don't.
Or the national championships, but you know.
Yeah, it's wild to me that you can't just, in my mind, you can't just absolve Tennessee of this situation. And I think that is very clear. If you, and we've talked about this for 2 days, Tennessee is not blameless here. And if you listen to Pervin Liar talk about this situation with Tennessee, he doesn't really pull any punches.
Tennessee is screwed. They got a problem. You lose a potential high draft pick. You have the backup quarterback left last year, and now you have a redshirt freshman that threw 9 passes and a freshman. You have zero experience, and the portal opens as we speak. They are going to have to go get one. So I don't know what the answer is. There are some interesting answers out there, but it happened. And think about this. He threw for 200 yards in 8 games or less. 200 yards. He had one 300-yard game, and he threw for 4 yards against Ohio State in the playoffs. So he had a good year, first year starting quarterback. But I, as a guy that's been involved almost 40 years in this game, I can't believe this happened.
He's an average-ass quarterback.
Yeah.
There's, and that's from the Triple Option podcast, by the way. Nico Iamaleava is an average-ass quarterback. He has not shown you to be special. He has not shown you to be anything. He is a cat that is learning on the job and wants to be paid like the best quarterbacks in college football when he's not even in the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I am hoping beyond hope, again, not to be redundant, I'm hoping this is his dad. But there's no doubt he damaged himself. The brand is damaged. You don't recover from this. You don't. And I'll go back to what Feinbaum said yesterday. Like, everybody pretty much agrees. You probably should stay away from him.
I would stay away from him. Buyer beware of this guy. And it's not even Nico. It's the whole apparatus. I mean, you're not dealing. Something tells me Nico is not personally in the middle of these negotiations. Team Nico is, and I mean there is a toxic feeling about this player. He can impact a football team, but you also have to decide what is the cost. And everywhere he goes, there's going to be this halo around him that says he held out, he asked for money, he's a problem child, stay away.
And then, Paul,
and then I go back to what Josh Heupel said, the head coach at Tennessee. Because note, has anybody disputed what Josh Heupel said here?
Was it apparent to you that you would be moving forward?
Friday morning, when he's a no-show, you come off the practice field and there's no communication.
None. He just cut Tennessee off.
How?
Not a, hey, coach, not feeling well, or got a test, or,
Got a test, man. Yeah.
Hasn't called, hasn't texted, not communicating.
Which,
come on.
See, again, that type of behavior tells me probably that Nico is on board with this. I mean, I just have a hard...
I find, if you've been around football culture at all, you understand how close star players are. And your starting quarterback by any measure better be one of your star players. and head coaches are. Quarterbacks and head coaches, quarterbacks and offensive coordinators are very close. I have a hard time seeing, maybe in the worst situation. Yeah, I'm never going to speak to you again. Okay. This just doesn't, I don't see it. I just don't see it that way. I think that when you have a program like Tennessee, is one of the most storied programs in the SEC, melting down, does not have a starting quarterback right now because they essentially were being held hostage over NIL money by an average-ass quarterback. He's not, and again, we went over this, but if you look at Nico's numbers, and I know that it's probably not popular, but look at his game logs. The fact he only completed 64% of his passes. That against Ohio State in the first round of the playoffs, he completed 14 of 31 for 104, no touchdowns, no picks, 47 yards rushing. And you look up and down his against the best teams they faced, he had really poor performances. Georgia, 20 of 33, 167. You look at Alabama, 14 of 27, 194. Florida, 16 of 26, 169. Like, they're the best defenses they saw. He played poorly. And I don't know how you just overlook the fact that he's not even the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in that league.
Are we clear on that?
I mean, Quinn Ewers or Nico. I'm taking Quinn Ewers every day.
All day.
And go down the list, Carson Beck or Nico. I'm taking Carson Beck.
All day. All day.
We argued over Jalen Milroe yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
how do you not? I mean, Jalen and Nico. I mean, how do you not? Like, how do you not take Jalen? Right? I mean, I just think that it's. I don't know. I think people like to oversell his value. And that's the kind of the world we live in, right? Where it's like, hey, if I say this car is worth 100 G's and it's really only worth 20, then it's worth 100. Like, okay, I guess, but I'm not paying that.
And a much maligned Jalen Milroe, I'll remind you, threw for 374 yards and 2 scores against Georgia.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for the kid because this conversation's going to be on repeat now. He's an average-ass quarterback. And now because you look at their schedule, I was looking at the UCLA schedule before the show started.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty, friends. It is certainly not something when you look at Utah, at UNLV, New Mexico, at Northwestern, home for Penn State in the Rose Bowl, at Michigan State, Maryland, at Indiana, Nebraska, at Ohio State, Washington, at USC. Like the last 6 weeks of the season, you're just getting your balls stomped on.
Yeah.
He's not going to have a great year. And I feel like it's unfortunate for him. Now he's going to be criticized 5, 6, 10 times more than he ever was because of this situation.
Yeah. And he made that bet. Or his dad did.
Yeah. Or his dad did.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Joseph Harper. Hello, Joseph. Good to see you. Sounds like Nico's dad has been hanging out with Lonzo's dad. A lot of LeVar Ball conversation around this situation. I can't say I disagree with it. The Buffalo Hunter, who's been a member for 18 months. Lander Barton will teabag Nico in week 1. Okay.
Oh, man.
Well, technically, teabagging is a I believe it's a crime. I watch SVU. I believe it's a crime.
Yeah.
By the way, Joseph Harper's been a member for 19 months.
Okay. Nice job.
What a transformative year for the 12s, huh? Joseph, you guys look a little different up there in Seattle.
Seattle.
You know. It is what it is. Big Daddy Magic. No video today from Big Daddy Magic. You're slacking,
Bro,
Big
are you
Daddy
serious,
Magic.
dude?
Yeah. He did not send me a video today. And let me check to make sure.
Victor's not the way?
Oh, he did send me. He did in a nude. It's a nude.
Okay.
It's a nude. Oh my God. It's a nude.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's a nude video of Big Daddy Magic. He's laying in bed.
Hey, player. Our beloved MVP Josh Allen has an arm so strong he'd throw a pork chop past a werewolf.
Woof.
Good day.
That's it. That's the whole, Josh Allen's arm is so strong he can throw a pork chop past a werewolf.
A woof.
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 Okay. I got love for it. We were not going to talk NBA draft until after the playoffs are over. Anybody see Steph last night? God damn.
Get some.
I said, God damn. That's amazing. I think it is really interesting that this is what we do now to these players. We know how much they're making, so now we got to wreck them, and it's fine. Mike Smith, BDM in a bong water hot tub. Very well could be. Very well could be.
100%.
You know, Noel Ramirez, LOL, how about them Magic, though? Hey, what happened to Paulo Banchero, who I lost with on Prize Picks last night? What happened to Paulo Banchero? Huh? What happened to Franz Wagner? So who did I say not to take on the show yesterday?
Right.
Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony blew up. I am on a cold streak like you don't even know. You don't even know. TJ Beck says, Jesus, Big Daddy Magic, you crack me up. He's amazing. He is amazing. It's wild.
Yeah. He's a stud, dude.
It is wild.
He's an absolute stud.
You know. Speaking of Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy app. Make sure you download the Prize Picks app. Make sure you use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. And they're doing secure plays on the NBA tonight, which I have. Thank you very much. Here are my NBA picks tonight. And you probably don't want to take my advice. I'm on a cold streak. Like I can't even decide.
Yeah, you're frozen.
It's wild. My guy, Kobe White, the Bulls, 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists more. Good old Dan Gafford.
Hey, Dan.
Dan Gafford, Dallas at Sacramento in the play-in, 5 rebounds. I took more. And then Bam Adebayo, Miami against the Bulls, 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists more.
Okay, nice.
So that's what I'm riding with in the NBA playoffs.
And I'm sorry,
tonight.
you said that was a protected play?
That is a protected play.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes, it is. By the way, the Chicago Cubs are losing again. Like, and how'd you do with your guy last night?
Which one? Because I had so many. You know, I mean, which
I know you take a lot of dudes every night.
Yeah, that's kind of my deal. You know what I mean?
You know,
it's kind of my deal.
Royd boy, Tatis.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
No, Shota dominated.
Yeah, Tatis had one hit runner RBI, and I needed him to have 2.5.